All right, so what you've got in front of you is basically just your course syllabus and some guidelines for how Science 10 is going to work for you this year, okay? So we'll start off with the most important thing. The best thing that you can do to be successful is to be here. Okay? If you are missing extended periods of class, do not expect your mark to be very high. Okay? As soon as you start missing stuff, you fall behind. Okay? High school moves very fast, guys. It is a big change from junior high. Right? I used to teach grade 9 science. Okay? If I taught grade 9 science at the pace I have to teach grade 10 science, I would finish grade 9 science about midway through November. Okay? That's how much more material there is in grade 10 science. All right, there's a lot of stuff that needs to be covered, okay? And if you're in AP, it's even more, okay? So we move really fast. A lot more responsibility is going to be placed on you for getting work done, okay? Now, if you use your time effectively, it's not huge amounts of homework. You don't have to worry about, oh, I got to go home and do 10 hours of homework. I mean, you can if you want to, right? I mean, that's going to produce pretty good results, but I don't know when you'll sleep. Okay, and sleep is also kind of important. So, okay, but the big thing is that you do need to be here. Okay, if you are absent, okay, you are responsible for any material that you miss, including labs and assignments. Okay, not being here doesn't mean you get exempted from what we did that day, right? And there are a ton of resources that I've developed that will be available to you that will enable you to get caught up before you come back. Okay, now, obviously, if you're in a coma, that's different. Okay, then I wouldn't expect that you necessarily be caught up when you come back. Okay, but obviously for most things, like, you know, you had the stomach flu or, you know, things like that, we would expect that you're going to be here. But again, it is inadvisable for you to be away for extended periods. I know that sometimes people take, you know, family vacations and they're gone for a week or, heaven forbid, longer than that. That's really not a good idea. Okay, I'm just going to tell you that straight out. It's not a good idea for you to miss extended periods of time in high school. You get behind really fast. Okay. All right. So there will be podcasts, and how many of you have used Google Classroom before? Okay, good. So you guys are all experts at that already. Okay, as well as my website, although you hardly have to use that anymore now that Google Classroom is up and running, to stay up to date. Now, podcasts. How many people have ever used the podcast app on their phone? Okay, not too many of you. All right, that's okay. My podcasts don't go in iTunes. They did when we first started this like 8 years ago. Okay, now they go on YouTube. Okay, every day I'm going to be wearing this thing right here. Okay, sometimes I'll record your class and sometimes I'll record my period 2 or period 3 class, but every day I'll record what goes on in Science 10 and post it to YouTube. Okay, and it'll just show up as a video on YouTube that you'll be able to watch if you were not here, or if you want to review something from that day. Okay, and obviously you don't have to watch the whole thing in its entirety. You just need to watch whatever it is you need. Okay, it's especially useful if you're writing a lab report for a lab that we've done. Okay, you can kind of have it playing in the background and get all those little hints that I dropped in class that day that you forgot to write down or whatever. Okay, and it's really, really useful in that regard. And I'll show you how you access those and that kind of stuff in a few minutes. Okay, and the other thing to do with attendance is lates. Okay, we have a new bell schedule this year. We start 10 minutes earlier than last year, although you guys don't know that because you were at JP2, but okay, we're starting 10 minutes earlier than last year, 8:35. Okay, that comes bright and early. It'll be dark in here in December when we're teaching this class. Okay, so just be aware that you need to be in this room when the bell goes. Okay, if you are not, the door will be in the closed position. That means stay outside until I come and get you so that I can limit the interruptions to what it is that we are doing in here. Okay, so if you are late, just wait by the window. Okay, don't make faces at your friends in here, okay, because that defeats the purpose of having you wait out there. Okay, just wait out there. I'll see you. I'll come get you. Okay, if I've not noticed you or not come out there for like 10 minutes, then you can knock. Okay, then I probably just forgot about you, or I'm just angry enough that I'm leaving you out there. Okay, that probably won't happen. All right, so just knock if it's been a really long time, but otherwise just wait quietly and I'll come get you. Okay, if attendance or lates becomes a problem, then you are referred to an administrator and a call goes home and then you serve detention and it all sucks and you don't want to have to be involved in that. Okay, so make sure you're showing up on time. Okay, website, Google Classroom, and podcasts. Okay, I have a website, but like I said, you're probably not going to use it very much because every day I put everything we do on Google Classroom. I put, you know, my PowerPoint notes on there. Well, they're not PowerPoint, but whatever. They're like that. Okay, on there for everyone to access. Any lab data would be on there for that day, and then a link to the podcast of that day. All that stuff. It's all going to be on Google Classroom, so you very rarely need to use my website, but it's there if you want to use it. It's nothing special. It's just got everything on it. Okay, and you can access that from the school homepage. Right? If you go to teacher web pages, maybe I should just show you that way. Okay, so if you're in the Holy Trinity Academy homepage, like this, okay, there is student or teacher web pages. When you click on that, and you go to Mr. Coder, which is right here. And it takes you there. And obviously you would just want the Science 10 stuff over here on the left. Okay, if you go in there, it's just file folders. It used to be file folders. For whatever reason, it's not there now. There it is. Okay. So anything you might need. One of the things that you are going to need is this, the Science 10 notes package. Okay. We don't use a textbook. The textbook's no good. Okay, it's a waste of money, so we didn't buy it. Okay, so this notes package you will need to print, and you'll probably need to print it as soon as possible. All right, I will give you the stuff you need for like today and maybe tomorrow, but after that you've got to have the notes package. Now, couple of options on the notes package. If you like to have paper and be able to write on paper, then go home and print it. But do not print it in color. It is 60 pages. Okay, and then it's going to cost you all that money to replace that ink cartridge that goes out like after you've printed 5 pages. Okay, so print it in black and white. You can always access the electronic versions of my notes to look at the diagrams and stuff in color and as big as life and whatever else. Okay, so for the notes package, if you want to have paper, you can print it. If you want to have an electronic version of it and just have it on your phone beside you and make jot notes on loose leaf paper, that's great too. Save some trees. Okay, you can put it on a laptop, have your laptop in here, or a tablet or whatever. Okay, whichever way you prefer. Do not go home and tell your parents, Mr. Coder said I need a new laptop or a new iPad, because I didn't say that. Okay, you use what you have. Right, you don't necessarily need that, but if you want to do it electronically, that's fine. Android and iOS both have notability apps where you can actually write right on the PDF file. Okay, so if you want to do it that way and save some trees and have an electronic version, you're more than welcome to do that. Okay, I leave that choice up to you, but in some form or another, you need to have the notes package with you as soon as possible. Sorry, you guys need that one. Yes, you guys need the AP one. There's a few extra things in there. Okay, regular Science 10 needs the regular one, obviously. All right, so make sure you have that printed, okay, or whatever version of it you're going to use. Okay, a lot of people just have it on their phone and they just have it there beside them when we're going through class. Incidentally, about phones, because that question always comes up, I have no problem with you having a phone in my class because it's a tool. And we're going to use the tools. Okay, I'll have you using your phone quite often, actually, in class. So I don't have any problem with that as long as it's being used responsibly. Okay, and any other technology, tablet or laptop, whatever, obviously more than welcome to have those in my class. Okay, so that covers the website. Obviously, you guys know how Google Classroom works. Okay, if you have the Google Classroom app on your phone, I have the join code up here, and you can join whenever you want. Okay, and I'll start putting updates on there today even, so maybe we'll look at doing that in a few minutes as well. Okay, and then for podcasts, okay, for the recordings of my class, okay, you will actually just take out your phone right now. Everybody can do it. Okay, and go to YouTube. And search for Coder Science 10. That's the name of my channel. Okay, for Science 10 anyway. I have a different one for physics. Just search for that. When the channel comes up, I would suggest just subscribing to it. Okay, it's only going to be most of the time one video a day. Okay, and I'm sure you guys have all used YouTube before, so you all know how it works. Okay, I just got playlists for each unit. All right, so as we go along, right now they all only have one video in them. I just left one in there from last semester so that they all showed up. Okay, so you click on chemistry, that's our first unit, and you'll find the videos in there, or just go to videos, and obviously then they're placed in there in chronological order, okay? Whichever is going to work best for you, okay? But that's where you'll find all the podcasts, and obviously each day in Google Classroom there'll be a link to the one that we did that particular day. Okay, everybody got Coder Science 10 on their YouTube now? Okay. All right, so obviously with Google Classroom you can find out when your assignments and labs are due, you get those emails, and there is, I think, there may now only be one assignment that you will actually hand in to me on paper. Okay, everything else will be handed in electronically through Google Classroom. All right, nothing gets lost that way. Okay, we were actually piloting it the first year it came out, and we thought, oh man, we're just going to lose everything. It's going to be really bad, and it was so awesome. Okay, we never lost a thing, and we still have never lost a thing. Sometimes little glitches happen, but we still are able to recover everything. So it's awesome that way. So yeah, you'll be using Google Classroom to kind of stay up to date with everything in my class. Okay, and obviously we've already gone through going to YouTube and searching for Coder Science 10 and subscribing to that. Okay, make sure you're keeping an eye on that as well. Okay, so each day I'm going to post the day's activities, a link to the podcast, developments, and notes. Okay, in the post I may also include links to lab data in case you are absent or you lose yours, or lots of times people like to confirm their data by looking at mine. Okay, and that's not a bad idea either. Okay. So just know that everything you are ever going to need is going to be on Google Classroom for me. Okay. So by using those above resources, okay, you should always return to class caught up with your classmates. Because of the extra effort in making that material available to you, I expect you to be responsible for the material. If you come and say to me after being gone for 3, 4, 7, 10 days, okay, Mr. Coder, what did I miss? I will answer with a lot. And that's all I'll say, okay? Because you have the ability to find out what it is you have missed. And if you have been gone for 10 days and done absolutely nothing to stay caught up, you're so far behind you'll think you're in front. Okay? That would not be a good situation to be in. All right? Okay, questions on any of that stuff, the technology and resources available to you? All right. Okay, so classroom behavioral expectations. Okay, obviously respect is the key. Okay, I will treat you with respect. Okay, in general, I do not single people out for humiliation in front of the rest of the class. Okay, because that's not good practice to do. All right. I expect kind of the same in return. Okay, I'm always going to treat you guys with respect, and obviously, I'm here to help you. Okay, that's my job. If you want help on something, you come and ask. Okay, we have scheduled help in this school every day at the end of period 2. Okay, so you can come back here if you want help from me, or you can go to your math teacher's classroom and get help from them, or your English teacher's classroom, whichever. Okay, you can go wherever you need to talk to the teacher you need to talk to and get help during scheduled help, and I'm here obviously for that, just like everybody else. I'm also available every day at lunch. Okay, if you need help, you can come in and see me at lunch. All right. Things that I'll give you help with, obviously, if you got questions, I'll help you. Okay. I'm also willing to look over assignments and labs before they're submitted. Okay. So if you have your lab report, let's say, done ahead of time, and you'd like me to look it over, come in and schedule helper at lunch. We'll pull it up on Google Classroom. I'll look it over, make a couple comments on it, okay, and send you on your way. Most of the time, people require very little revision. I think the most revision anyone ever had to do was like 10 minutes. Okay, so if you do, if you work hard on it at first and you follow the instructions, there's not going to be much I can say. Okay, but I am willing to do that, to go over your stuff before you submit it. But you do have to do it in person. Okay, that's my only caveat to that. Okay, don't email me at 11 o'clock p.m. Okay, the night before your lab is due and go, hey, Mr. Coder, can you look over my lab? Because I won't. I won't respond to you until the next morning, okay, when I single you out for humiliation in front of the rest of the class for waking me up. I'm old and I need my sleep. Okay, all right, everybody clear on that one? Just got to have those boundaries, right? Okay. If I use the words listen up, which I do basically beginning of every class, it just means I want your full attention at the front of the class because I'm trying to get things going, or there's something important that I need to tell you, like, listen up, there's a mistake on this worksheet, or listen up, there's a fire out there and we need to go now, or something like that. But if I say listen up, I need your full and undivided attention right away. Okay? If I don't get it and I have kind of chronic problems getting your attention, then we'll have to have a chat one-on-one. Okay, work assigned in class. Okay, there's different kinds of work that you'll get in Science 10. There's the assigned work that comes in for marks. Okay, that will be lab reports, assignments, and a couple of projects throughout the year. Okay, that stuff has to be completed and submitted for grading. Then there's assigned work that isn't coming in for marks. That would be things like worksheets, or maybe an in-class activity that we do just to, to go over a concept or something like that. I'm not going to be taking those in. I don't do homework checks. Okay, I'm not going to come around in the morning and see if you did your homework. You're 15, 16 years old. Okay, you need to be responsible for that on your own at this point. Okay, but if I give you something in class and say you should work on it, it should get done, whether it's coming in for marks or not. Okay, that's just the expectation. All right, does that mean I'm going to swamp you with work? At first, it's going to seem a little bit like that, I'll be honest with you, because the workload in high school is incredibly different than it was in junior high. So it's going to seem like, oh my gosh, I'm treading water, but I'm sinking, okay, and I can't seem to get ahead. It's going to seem like that at first, and you're going to learn to manage your time, and then it won't seem so bad, okay? From me, what you're going to get is you're probably going to have to hand something in once a week. Okay, that's not an unreasonable expectation. Something's going to come in for marks probably about once a week. Okay, you'll have worksheets periodically that you'll be expected to do, but I mean you can work on them in class. You can work on them in scheduled help, and do a little bit at home as long as they get done. They don't have to necessarily be done for the next day. Okay, because that's not something I'm going to check. And then every Tuesday and every Thursday you will have a quiz. Okay, they're not long. They're short, okay? They're like 5, maybe 10-minute quizzes. They happen every Tuesday and every Thursday, okay? All they are is a review tool. They are worth practically nothing in terms of your grades, okay? At the end of the year, all of the quizzes we do, 2 a week, will add up to 10% of your final mark. Okay, which means like each quiz is worth less than 0.5% of your final grade by the end of the year. Okay, does that mean you shouldn't study for them? No, you should. And I make it easy for you because I post the quizzes the night before. I put them on Google Classroom and say, here's tomorrow's quiz. What should you do? You should do it. Yeah, okay? Because if I'm giving you the quiz ahead of time, there's really no reason to not do well on it the next day, okay? The idea here is it's a review tool, okay? You do your review at home, you come in, you write the quiz, you do well on it, I go over it in class, I even record it, okay? So if you miss it, you can watch it anyway, or if you're going, studying for a unit exam, you can go back in the podcast and say, oh, I didn't do very well on quiz 3. Quiz 3 is in this podcast, I'm gonna go back and watch it again, okay? You can do all of that, okay? So you're gonna have those, but they're not a huge amount of time for you on Mondays and Wednesdays, okay? Because you'll have to obviously do them Monday night and Wednesday night. They'll take you 5 or 10 minutes. Okay, it's not a huge amount of time. Okay, so obviously that has to do with classwork. If for some reason you're not handing in your work and you're not getting it done, we're going to have a problem. Okay, because your mark's not going to be very good, first off, and your mom and dad are probably not going to like that. And I'm not going to like that. So I'm going to get on your case. Okay, I'll get on your case about it, and you'll probably end up spending your valuable lunch hours with me until you're caught up, right? And while I'm a wonderful conversationalist and excellent company, you'd probably rather spend your time with somebody else, okay? So get your work done on your own so I don't have to hassle you about it, and you won't have to worry about that, okay? But it, of course, is my job to make sure you get your work done. Okay, also, with regard to exams, okay? You might want to write this down. There are no rewrites. So that you know, okay? science department is unified on this front. In the science department, there are no rewrites. Okay? Reason being, you have all these resources available to you. You can come see me for help every single day of the week except Friday because there's no lunch or scheduled help on Friday. But Monday through Thursday you can. Okay, you have the opportunity to ask questions, get your stuff reviewed. Okay, give you a big review package. I do an in-class review for every unit exam. There should be no reason for you to need a rewrite other than you gambled on not studying. Don't gamble on that. You'll lose. Okay, that's not a bet to take. Okay, so you do your work, you're not going to need one. All right? If, for some reason, you do not pass an exam, and that's pretty rare, like I'm talking really rare, that somebody doesn't pass an exam, okay, then you will come in and spend a couple of lunch hours with me, and I'm going to go over things with you and review things with you and make sure that you understand everything, and then we'll see what we can do about your mark, okay? It might be a small boost or something like that, okay? All right, questions on that? All right, so just so you know, there aren't any rewrites, okay, on anything, exams, labs, any of that. You can bring your lab into me ahead of time, okay? If you do that, that's kind of like getting a rewrite, but before you hand it in. Okay, if you hand it in and it's crap, and then you go, Mr. Coder, I'd really like to be able to redo that. I'm going to go, well, no. You had the opportunity to bring it in beforehand, and you didn't, okay? So, yeah, that's kind of how real life works, right? If you're a brain surgeon and you screw up, they don't go, oh, that's okay, get a do-over. No. Okay, it doesn't work that way. Okay, all right. Fairness versus equality. I'll always try to be fair to everybody, but that doesn't mean everybody gets treated equally. I have this argument with my 8-year-old and 6-year-old all the time. That's not fair. Well, you might not think it's fair, but okay, I'm being fair. I didn't treat you equally. Yes, you got more Fruit Loops than him. You're bigger than he is. Okay, yeah, stuff like that. Okay, it's fair, but it might not be equal. Equality and fairness don't necessarily go hand in hand. Okay, so the example I often use is, it happened now about 9 or 10 years ago. I had something, a lab or something like that was due. Everybody handed it in except for 2 people, and they both came up to me. And the first guy, to his credit, was very honest with me. He said, Mr. Coder, I don't have my homework done. And I said, why not? Like, you've had a week and a half to do that, and it was like 20 minutes worth of work. Yeah, and I left it till last night, and the season finale of whatever show was on, okay, and I watched it and I didn't do my homework. I'm like, so what do you expect me to do? Like, I can't, in any, I can't justify giving you an extension, you just didn't do it. It's like, no, I understand that, I just thought I would ask. So, what did he do? Well, he got it done, but he took a late penalty, okay, but he was honest with me, okay. The other person came up and she looked awful, like she would have to get better to die. She looked that bad. Okay, I don't know how she drug her sorry butt into school that day. And she's looking at me, she says, Mr. Coder, I don't have mine done either. And I'm like, are you okay? Like, because you look like you're going to fall over right here. So I'm not feeling very good. She said, last night, my parents had this huge fight, and they both stormed out of the house. And then I had to cook dinner for my brothers and sisters. I don't remember how many. It was a big number. And I made chicken, and I didn't cook it enough. And we all got sick, and we all spent the whole night throwing up, and I had to look after all of them while I was sick. I didn't get my homework done. So I have to be a bit of a jerk and say, you know what? That's what happens when you don't leave things, when you leave things till the night before. You got to be a little bit of a jerk when you're a teacher once in a while. Okay? But then I said, okay, that's pretty, extenuating circumstances. I hope, everything at home is going to be okay. Can you go home and get it done for me for tomorrow? And she did. Okay? I didn't take a late penalty off. All right? Probably should have, because she did leave it till the night before, but I felt bad for her. Okay? Now, what I expect in terms of the respect thing is that you'll be honest with me, like the guy who just watched his favorite show. Okay? Not that you will come up and exercise all the stuff you learn in drama and give me an Oscar-worthy performance complete with tears with the biggest cockamamie fish story ever, okay, to try and get out of a late penalty on one assignment. Okay? Get your work done and you won't have to worry about that anyway. Okay? So, an example of being fair but not equal. One got an extension, the other didn't. Okay? Okay, 3.5, accountability. High school is the start of real life, and thus due dates and timelines are part of your reality, so you are expected and required to hand material in on time and be responsible for your actions. I give plenty of time for assignments to be completed. Your quickest turnaround on anything in my class will be 2 school days. That's the quickest turnaround, okay? Most of the time it's more than that, okay? Most of the time for like a lab report, it'll be, 2 school days plus a weekend, or, or whatever. It'll be plenty of time for you to get the assignment completed, all right? I'm never going to give you something and say it's due tomorrow. Right? Because I don't think that's fair. Some people do, but I don't. Right? If we're going to teach you guys to have good time management skills, we can't throw stuff like that at you. Okay? Because maybe you've got work or sports or whatever, or music lessons, and you just can't turn it around for the next day. Okay? If I give you a couple of days, you can find time to get it done. So the quickest turnaround is 2 days, but most of the time it's more than that. And that's 2 school days. Again. Okay, doesn't mean you'll get the class time to work on it, okay, but you'll have at least that long to get things together and get it finished. Okay, so there's very few excuses that I will accept for not handing material in on time. Okay, in real life, you have to be on time and get your work done. Okay, the same goes for you here. Okay, yeah, reality is cruel. Okay, my wife used to write contracts for an oil company. And she had a bunch of companies that were bidding on a job. That's kind of how things work, right? You know this job is coming up and everybody bids on how much they think it'll cost to do it. The proposals for this job all had to be in by like noon on a certain day. And it was a job that was going to pay the company who won it several $1 million. It was a big job. Okay. She had 6 companies who had their proposals in on time and one that came in at 12:15. They were due at noon. She couldn't even legally open the one that was brought in at 12:15. Okay? That's how the bidding process works. If your bid comes in late, it can't be considered. Okay? So somebody who was 15 minutes late cost their company several $1 million and probably got fired. Okay? That's real life. It's harsh. Okay? I won't be quite so harsh with you. Okay? But understand that's where you're headed. Okay? All right. Questions on that? Okay. Okay. Assessment and evaluation. So this has to do with your marks. First thing is that I'm not going to discuss your mark in class with you in front of everybody else. I can't do that. Okay, that's Freedom of Information and Privacy Act. I cannot discuss your mark in front of others. You want to discuss your mark with other people, that's your prerogative, but I can't do it. Okay, so if you come up to me and you have a question about your mark, I would suggest you do it at break or at lunch or something like that. Okay, because I can't discuss it with you in class. Okay, and so just avoid doing that. I know that I had a guy probably 8 or 9 years ago now, who came up to me and I handed back his lab and he wasn't happy. And he came up and he took it and he slammed it down on my desk in front of 30 people. Mr. Coder, this mark sucks. And I'm just like, yes, it does. But that was your fault. So yeah, sit down, shut up. Because, yeah, I'm not going to talk about your mark in front of the rest of the class, especially if you're going to be like that, okay? Unfortunately, in that situation, I get to win. Yeah, so come and say, Mr. Coder, I really don't understand why the mark is the way it is. I'll go over it with you. In fact, I go over everything with you guys, right? When you hand in something, okay, I'll hand it back to you the next day, okay? The last time I failed to get an assignment back the next day was January 17th, 2010. It's the day my second son was born. I think I had an excuse. I had to go to the hospital and my wife had a baby. So yeah, I didn't get the assignments marked that night, okay, but I did have them done for the next one, all right? That's the only time that I can remember not getting stuff back the next day. So if you hand something in on Tuesday, you're getting it back on Wednesday, and I'm going over it with the class on Wednesday. I'll go over like kind of the, here's where the class generally had some problems, or here's the thing that I saw when I was marking them, but you'll get them back the next day, okay? That's also why I don't have a lot of tolerance for late assignments, because I'm going over it the next day, okay? You could just sit there and write down all the answers. Then I don't know whether you actually knew it or whether you just sat there and I copied all the answers down, okay? All right, so your marks will be distributed according to the syllabus, which I'll show you here in a minute. Okay, assignments and labs are to be handed in on time. Okay, on time means the start of class on the due date. So in Google Classroom, it'll say it's due this day at this time. For you guys, that time will always be 8:35. okay, because that's when our class starts for period 1. Okay, if it's for period 2, then it's what, 10:05 now or whatever the new bit. Yeah. Okay. So beginning of class on the due date, that's when it's expected to be in, and I just set that in Google Classroom. If you haven't submitted it by then, Google Classroom automatically tags it late. Okay, and it'll be 25% off. All right. The reason it's 25% off, well, I told you, I'm giving it back the next day. Okay. All right. And then, like we said, all assignments and labs are due start a class on the due date. Okay. All right. Questions there? All right. So course syllabus. Okay. We have 4 units. They are equally weighted, even though they are not equal in length or content. They are still equally weighted. Okay. The first unit is chemistry. We'll start that today. And we look at the structure of the atom, we look at naming compounds, which should all be a review for you. Okay? Then we start moving into reactions and balancing. We talk about solubility. We look at calculating molar amounts of materials and things like that. That unit generally takes us about 5 weeks. Okay? So expect to be having a unit exam around the first week of October, okay, for a chemistry. Okay? Then we move on to Unit 2, cycling of matter in living systems. We call that biology. Okay, so that'll be the second unit, and it generally takes about 4 weeks. Right, so you can expect that around Halloween, probably, you'll have another unit exam. Then we move into physics. Okay, that's Unit 3, energy flow and technological systems. I have no idea why it's called that. We just call it physics because that's what it is. Right, and in there we go over, graphing skills. We talk about velocity, speed, acceleration, energy, force, that kind of thing. We do a bunch of labs in all the units. All the units have labs in them. Okay, that one generally takes about 5 weeks. Okay, so you could expect that probably around the very end of November or the very beginning of December that you would have another unit exam on physics. And then our last unit is really, really short. Okay. Energy flow and global systems, it kind of tries to tie everything together, but it's generally pretty short. If I get pressed for time, I've taught it in 4 days. Okay, this year I don't think we'll have a problem with that. We started so early, so okay, we'll probably have the whole course done maybe before Christmas season. Okay, because when we come back after Christmas, things like 1 week, and then it's your final exam start. So kind of a weird schedule this year. Okay, so those are our 4 units. Like I said, there's a unit exam for each one. Okay, and they're all weighted equally. Same with your labs and things like that. All the labs are weighted equally. Okay, so your marks distribution, your unit exams, of which there are 4, are 25% of your final mark. Labs, projects, assignments, your class work, okay, the things that you're going to hand in to me for marks in class, okay, 45% of your final mark. Okay, that's a big, big chunk, and that's the stuff you can get help on. All right, so take advantage of the fact I'm willing to review your stuff before it's due, things like that, so you get as much of that 45% as you can. Okay, the quizzes we already talked about, every Tuesday, every Thursday. Okay, small, short, 5-10 minute quiz. Okay, those will all add up to about 10% of your final mark. Okay, and then your final exam, about the 3rd or 4th week of January, okay, is 20% of your final mark. Okay, questions on that? Okay. So you need to have the notes package in some form or another as soon as possible. Tomorrow would be preferable. Okay? So please make sure you're looking at getting that done. Okay. Other things that generally come up. Can I have food and drink in here? Yes, you can. Okay. But if you make a mess, you're responsible for cleaning it up. Okay. Also, if you come in here every day with like a 500-gram bag of Doritos and a 2-liter bottle of Coke, you're probably going to get a nutrition lecture from me. Okay. But generally, yes, you can have food and drink in here. Your phone, we already talked about that. Yes, you can have your phone in here. In fact, you're going to use it quite a bit. Okay, so yeah, that's fine. Just be responsible with it. If you're, shooting texts off to your friends or on Instagram or Snapchat or whatever, okay, then I'll probably be after you to turn it off or use it more responsibly. Okay, if it becomes a complete and total distraction to you, then I will confiscate it. I can't remember the last time I did that, to be perfectly honest. Okay, most people are pretty good about using their phone responsibly. And in the end, if you're not paying attention because you're on your phone, it only hurts you. All right. Okay. You guys have any questions? I'm not thinking of anything else here. Okay. Any questions about HTA in general since you're new? Obviously, you're going to get a lot of those answers in period 2 in our assembly. Okay,